My name is Luangalau Foisangasina Etewati Sean. I am one of the two counselors at the National University of Samoa. I'm also the literacy officer. And I shall be the chairperson for all the debate sessions. And I welcome you all. Good afternoon. Welcome to this, the first of a series of intra-faculty center school debates for academic year 2020, organized and coordinated by the NUSSA executive. Before I proceed any further, I want to let you all know that this session and all the other sessions are going to go on live. This one is on live on our platform, so that more people watch what our debates are all about and what your ideas and views and opinions are. I want to note the importance of this activity. This is a very important annual event on the NUSSA's academic related calendar. It's their way of helping our students with their academic studies, because these debates are taken seriously as a very important way to improve our presentation skills, our debating skills, our thinking on our little feet skills, and the confidence building that it enables all of us to gain through the debating teams. So this is an activity, an annual activity that's taken seriously, and we trust that each faculty, school, center takes time to seriously prepare for these debates. Anyway, good afternoon all. Our judges, our team members for both teams, as well as our students who are here to participate. The topic for this debate is university students should not consume alcohol. University students should not consume alcohol. I asked for clarification. Is this for on-campus? No, it's for on-campus and off-campus. In other words, university students should not consume alcohol, period. Full stop, period. That's our topic. University students should not consume alcohol. Our debating procedures. Each speaker is allowed to speak for 3 minutes, except the final speaker, who will be allowed 5 minutes each for their respective summing up. We have a timekeeper, Finoma Famanatu from the Faculty of Business and Entrepreneurship, and she will give the first signal to inform you, each speaker, that you have 1 minute left, and the second signal is to say stop. Even if it's in the middle of a word, a sentence, you stop, otherwise you get penalized. Our judges have been given the marking criteria which they will use to judge our debating teams. It's now my pleasure to announce our judges for this debate. In the middle is Tofa Avalongo Tongi Tunupopo, our chief librarian. On my left is Mr. Martin Carey, Director of Governance, Policy, and Planning Division of the National University of Samoa. And to my right is Tofa Vui Fa'apopo Leo'anai, Senior Lecturer with the Faculty of Education. It is also now my pleasure to introduce our debating teams. On my right is the affirmative team from the TVET, Technical Vocational Education Training Team. On my right, the affirmative, and On my left is the Forte Faculty of Technical Education team. Over to our affirmative team. Please introduce yourselves.
Apologies for that. Thank you to the chairperson for the opportunity. On behalf of the TVET team, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the panel of judges, the chairwoman, the timekeeper, our formidable opponents, as well as the spectators for today's debate. Talofa lava to you all. We are from the Diploma of Office Management program, and we are here to represent the TVET faculty. My name is Anthony Mulpola, and I will be our first speaker.
Taloflava, everyone. I would like to acknowledge again the presence of our fellow judges, our chairperson, as well as our timekeeper, our fellow opponents, and the members of the spectators today. My name is Esther Key, and I will be your speaker number 2.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be your third speaker for today. I would like to acknowledge the judges, chairperson, our fellow opponents, and our spectators today. Thank you.
Over to the negative side. Would you please introduce yourselves?
Just 1, 2. Honorable judges, chairperson, timekeeper, and also the affirmative team, we are happy to participate in our debating today. I'd also like to introduce our team. My name is Salutawai. I'll be your first speaker.
My name is John Lausa. I represent Forte, and I'm taking construction and join. Thank you.
My name is Marvin Paripoi. I'm also taking construction engineering, and I'll be your speaker number 3. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we begin our debate, may I note that your arguments and points will be presented by your first 3 speeches. No new points will be made during the summation or the summation by your team leader. Should you ignore or disregard that condition, your new point will not be added to the points and you might be penalized. Okay, we shall now begin. Good luck to both teams. I call on the first speaker of the affirmative side to present your side's case and constructive speech.
Thank you. Our first point is that alcohol negatively affects the body and mind. As university students, our mind are our most important assets, as it is necessary for educational progress and essential for storing and processing intelligence. According to the 2017 study from the American Addiction Center, 14.4 million Americans ages 12 and older, majority being in the 17 to 22 age region, had alcohol use disorders. They all presented decreased psychological growth and slow processing abilities later on in life. The symptoms included lowered inhibitions, trouble concentrating, loss of critical judgment, memory loss, and learning inabilities. They were also diagnosed with psychiatric syndromes and mental illnesses like alcohol-induced depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, sleep disorder, as well as psychotic disorder. The mental illnesses that stood out the most were bipolar disorder, major depression, anxiety disorders, and schizophrenia. As the Faculty of Technical Education, we are sure you rely at most stages of your program on your physicality to operate equipment and carry out practicals, while alcohol's impact on the body is a hefty price to pay. Oxford Archive research in 2018 about alcohol use in university also revealed that of the 2,000 student subjects, 90% developed health issues within the first 5 years of the study. These issues included liver fibrosis, high blood pressure, strokes, alcohol hepatitis, seizures, and brain hemorrhaging. This affected their physical movements and use of their motor functions. Now, imagine you in a scenario where you are operating heavy machinery and equipment in class. The medical effects of alcohol spur and causes you to suffer from a heart attack or stroke or a psychotic episode. Not only will you injure and harm yourself, but those around you. And safety equipment can only do so much. Now, most of these issues stemmed from the subjects using alcohol as self-medication at early stages of their life, predominantly during their university years. Now, mind you, the buzz alcohol that gives you is minuscule to the consequences and effects that we as university students
have 1 minute
receive later
left.
on in life. This goes to show students that university students and alcohol do not mix. Thank you.
Thank you. I call on the first speaker of the negative side for your presentation and rebuttal.
Our negative side, our first point, I will speak the agency or freedom to choose as a students, university students consume alcohol. My point that this topic we really disagree. We really not support that. As a student, has his own right to do what it does to help him to relieve pain for stress. And also that all students that attend university, they have their own ability and own valuable that has their own right to choose whatever they do. And also they have their own mind to control themselves as they taking the alcohol. It's not a bad thing for them to drink alcohol. It's necessary for them because it has their own right agency. They have the right to do this for them. It's not from the university, but for their own self. The main point is we have our own freedom to choose not partaking alcohol or drink alcohol. But my point is we are not support that university students should not consume alcohol. We really not support that. We do have our own right that we have to drink alcohol as a students at university. What I mean that if we think about this, then why are the companies making alcohol? Then what is the point of making products? As we are consumer, that we use these products, and also we apply to university that we're supposed to drink alcohol. Meaning that in the right time, after classes, sometimes you drink alcohol to relieve stress in your mind. And I know that as we drink alcohol, it will help us sometimes to release stress in our mind. Thank you.
Thank you. I call on the second speaker of the affirmative side for its rebuttal and presentation of points.
Thank you for that negative side, your first point. As you clearly stated that every student has an agency and the freedom to choose for themselves and has a right for themselves to consume alcohol because it relieves stress and it helps them with their studies, right? Can I confirm this? Okay. Well, let's go back to the topic. The topic clearly states university students should not consume alcohol. If you are a university student, your standard of education is raised on a bar where you cannot it does not simply say you must not consume alcohol. It just says should not consume alcohol. The thing that I want to point out to counter your point is that it has the agency. When you enter the school grounds, who do you represent? You don't represent yourself. You represent the university. Even out of the university, even if you partake of alcohol activities outside of the universities, no matter what circumstances or situations takes place in those, when it gets out of hand, then you will be questioned by the police, and they will be asking you for personal details such as what school do you go to and who are you representing? National University of Samoa. And is this a good image of the University of Samoa? I don't think so. Which leads us to our second point, which is consuming alcohol is not part of the National University's policies. In the National University, or our university, calendar for 2020, in the General Statutes and Regulations section, on page 341, it's found in the student's calendar. Under the section heading of 2.10, in the other conduct, you can clearly read in the letter N, which states students should not be bringing or consuming alcoholic liquor on university premises other than licensed premises or any other premises where permission has to be given to consume alcohol, then only in accordance with any conditions imposed. So this clearly means you cannot bring alcohol inside the university grounds or cannot partake of it unless you are a licensed. And demographically speaking, majority of the university students who have been registered are clearly under the age of 17 to 19. And what does the law of Samoa say? You can partake or you can consume alcohol in the age of 21 upwards. So that is clearly, and if you do partake alcohol in this university, most of us will be breaking the law of underage drinking. Not just that, but if you turn the pages to in page 36 in the same calendar, it will provide with the list of consequences if you do break this law. For example, payment of fine, disqualification for the consideration, and the expulsion from the university. Thank you.
Thank you. I call on the second speaker of the negative side for your rebuttal on the main points of the affirmative side's presentation.
I'm strongly disagree about what you're saying. Oh, but I represent the University of Samoa. Oh, so University of Samoa, I pull away yakanga. Oh, ya mas kamare fai mai sai halachi grow fe poa yanga up. Kwale fa pa ling ya kamai kiki pe la ko kala fang pia. La kwa ko lo pulo ma tablangi. La point. Ko ia ngare pia I ka ko ia onga. Oh, poinga. Me se me ar se lau limas furpa sengo kamaki e ngupia umba.
Let me remind you the language of the debate is English.
Oi, yeah.
Yes.
My point is using of alcohol in education, which is when you drunk. Wow, this is so much. Remains your confidence to represent the point for your presentation. It's so useful. One of the scientists, famous here, Oscar Diacommand, he used alcohol. Alcohol, or alcohol. But when he stressed, when he studied, quite lose what problems. Yeah, life, kaya, if I don't swing. Makuha, focus ay din bedang study ang apo. Allah, Allah, sala makuha yaw nga. Sala fay may alcohol is the key of his success. Wakele yang akupe. Ma miliong e ar kamaro sang kisi o ngor pio. Iko kongu ya kako. Ala mere fai e se fuafuanga e ka wonga ka kalare pia ya kako. Se kako kofo e fo i pole ase ma ngai or kamare or pio. Pele lei pere ang. Ah. Ya kwai fo. E ke le chance e lu sailo o points pa e de confidence pe ke de ko ai ko kongu or vaseng. So or pia lo. Ko ke le chance em fai onga represent aku point. Oh. Fa ngalo ku ai mga kama idea. Wa ngalo problems. Of kaila mo go.
Thank you. I now invite the third speaker of the affirmative side for your presentation.
Thank you for that information. To rebuttal on your points, this is not very a negative solution to such problems. Individuals whom known to do such things struggle later on in life. It is well known that majority of evidence of violence and domestic abuse relate crimes are influenced by alcohol. Fostering these habits early in life harbors nothing but trouble in the future.
I warn you, you don't do that during the debate. I'm the only person whose voice is heard during the debate. So don't be disrespectful. You can wait for your turn, your team, to rebut what they say. So don't let it happen again. Thank you. Go ahead.
Alcohol has lasting effects for 24 hours and reduces memory and intelligence progress proven by study. And for our points, consumption of alcohol as a university student can lead to financial struggles. This leading to, since the COVID-19 pandemic is not making everything easy lately, and this causes our parents to struggle earning money, and here students are wasting it on alcohol. We should really think about the struggles of earning money because we don't earn them, our parents do. And therefore, our evidence for this is proven that the late school fees for students, the continuous postpone of deadlines for school fees, that's another evidence for not earning enough money, and students' parents cannot earn enough because some parents have been let go because of the COVID. Other parents, they don't work full time and they don't earn the full amounts of money they had before. And therefore, where students are in no position in earning money. And also, alcohol is not a coping mechanism. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now call on the third speaker of the negative side, and again note that should there be another outburst and disrespectful behavior from your team, I as the chairperson will disqualify. Go ahead, make your presentation and rebut.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry if I'm a little clumsy because I was surprised for being picked out from my class. So our topic for today is university students should not consume alcohol. Well, extending on my friend's point, because I didn't pick one, so that everyone has their freedom of choice to pick what they want to do. So it's our choice to drink and not to drink. And extending on the female in the green dress, your point is that people struggle from their financial situation because of buying alcohol. Well, that's the reason why we're paying $1,000 to come to school, is that we should, so we could handle our financial situation, so that, so we can teach ourselves in the future. So, but I have a question for the one in the middle. You once said that people should, students should have license of drinking if you're entering the NUS. Was that right or wrong? Can you please restate what you said, please?
Um, in the calendar, it says consuming alcohol or liquor on university premises other than licensed premises. So you need to get approval before you can. And it's not the license for students, the license for location.
So we are allowed to drink on the licensed location. So it means that we are allowed to drink. So it does not stop us from drinking if the license that we're drinking on is allowed. So, well, you see that's the final point. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. I now call on the team leader of the affirmative side for your side summation.
Thank you for the opportunity. To rebuke against the last point of the negative team, you said it was your own right to choose and it was helpful to you to learn about future finances. Well, as university students, most of our finances are from our parents. You did not pay your own school bill, majority of us. And with that in mind, your future finances, this is where you start to learn. This is where you start to prepare for the future. You have your own choice inside your own hand. You prepare for the future by saving your finances and not obliterating your parents' money. In summary of our points, we believe and we are affirmative that university students should not consume alcohol. One, as it is dangerous to their health, psychologically and physically. Two, it is against rules and regulations in the student code to consume alcohol or bring alcohol on campus, which leads to possible expulsion or suspension. And the evidence, as she has stated, is code of conduct as mentioned in the calendar for 2020. The rules are stated well and clear. Thirdly, most students are unemployed and rely solely on parental finances. Thus, they are belligerently misusing money for alcohol. Evident as expressed, lack of finance is evident in the semester for 2020, the last semester. This is displayed by the postponement of the deadlines for school fees, especially for today's economy as we are suffering from the pandemic COVID-19. And it is with that we emphasize and we strongly agree that university students should not consume alcohol. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our final speaker will be the team leader of the negative side to sum up your presentations and your arguments. Thank you.
Just
You have 5 minutes to make your presentation.
from our negative side that we have suggested to the affirmative side, that according to the second speaker, she said that once we enter this university, we under the policy of the school. That means you're right, but where is our human right? Where is our human right? Where is our agency to choose? That means we are not using that human rights to speak for ourselves. That means we have no right to do this because we're under direction of the university. But we really not support that because we have our own human rights to do whatever we want to do. According to the leader of the affirmative side, that he said majority of us, our parents pay for a school fee. But what about the 10% of us? For example, for me, myself, I pay my own school fee. I work for myself. I have enough financial to buy my own alcohol. So what about that? What about the 10% of us, we work for ourselves and pay our school fee and other things that we use in school? Do we deny that? And for summarize for our team that we really not support that students at university should drink alcohol or consume alcohol. That means we need alcohol sometimes to relieve pain, stress in our mind when we struggle. most of students, for my own opinion, that this is where the way they need to help themselves to refresh, recall, and learning more when they have alcohol in their body to cool down themselves. And my summarize that we really need that allow students to bring alcohol in our university, that we may able to help other students to make friendship, social light, and relieve stress in yourself. And outside that, that's our point for our debate, and thank you very much.
I thank both teams for their views expressed, the negative as well as the affirmative side. The judges will be now given an opportunity to tally their marks, their points. In the meantime, I want to make some points very clear. First of all, and I am bringing this up with NUSSA, the organization of the teams this morning is not appropriate. Forte, TVET belongs to Forte. TVET is part of Forte. Aoila, ole TVET against Forte. And the Forte team is from the office management. Office management, tourism, hospitality is part of FOBI. NUSSA executive, office management, tourism, and those courses are not part of Forte. They are part of the Faculty of Business Entrepreneurship. So ole le ofetawi ole la wotoe debate au vaenga le vaenga le faculty ai foi ale afiunga le dean le tu mai tua. So silsila te toa le tatou coordination le tatou executive i le vaenga le na. Okay, point lona lua. I'm not going to apologize for coming on strong for the episode that we witnessed today. And the reason I'm not going to apologize is because we expect behavior appropriate for you NUS students. NUS students, maturity, responsibility, tuenga behavior na, and respect. So, don't remember, that's when we come to all these different activities of the university by different divisions, faculties and that, there should always be in the center respect. Not only for Yaonga, but respect for one another, respect for yourself. So, the third point I want to make is, as mentioned by this team, Iritato statute on students' conduct. So, in the team there, we all have a right. We all have our rights. We have our rights to express our views and our ideas. But those are to be done in a way that is appropriate. Likewise, you have a right to drink and drink alcohol. Lele. But that right, in campus, on campus. To my statute. There are limitations to that right of yours because exercising that right of yours without checking affects the right of others, other students. And also, when you come to the university, there are behavior and conduct expected of you. And so, il te mire nei le tatou statute, le tatou tula fono o a mio maanga. A teine matama o ngale university. Pule oe pe te o ele langiro o nai fafo. Mala winu I fafo. A sa ona e sau o na I te tonu o le rotoa. E sa ona e amaya so se tu a inga pia o le ale me whapena I le lotoa. So, on the topic, on and off, ale tu la fono le iai, o te tonu on campus, You are not allowed to come on campus intoxicated or drunk. You are not allowed to bring on campus any alcohol. Fasa. And if you're caught bringing alcohol onto campus, or you are caught, federal rate solo or fasa, in the campus, you are intoxicated, then you are punished. There are disciplinary measures that have been put on paper by the university. All of that is for the security and the safety of students and staff. So but thank you very much for your participation. And I'd like to encourage the other debating teams, please prepare well. We take our debates very seriously. It's an excellent activity to build your presentation skills, to build your confidence, to build thinking on your feet skills, to respond. So we want to take it seriously. And I want you, faculty, centers, as well as our schools, to also prepare appropriately, prepare adequately, so that you make an impressive presentation during the debate in which you will be participating. Okay, on that note, judges, are you ready? 2 minutes, okay. Are there any questions? Any comments? Okay, Lao Fiong.
I was really hoping that you will come to the library, to study the newspaper and research your topics properly, but I never see you come to our libraries. So, I mean, we have all the information there, newspapers, the online sources via the internet, the Google Scholar, where you can find a lot of useful information that would, I mean, your team really didn't do any research at all. So I'll reserve my judgment, but I'd just like to thank the affirmative side for a great research effort and presentation. And over to...
Madam Chair, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Very grateful. And thank you to my fellow judges and to the two teams. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you. I was just as confused, though, just to reiterate the point as to why it was that FOTI and TVET were taking on themselves. I tend to think of them as being exactly the same faculty, but nonetheless. A couple of introductory remarks, though. Yes, there is a great value in being prepared with some research. There's no dishonour or displeasure in using your own personal experience or philosophy around a subject. That's fine. But you're going to find that in debate, folks are also going to look, when they're judging, to where the balance goes between your own personal wish and where you can support your understanding with some research. It's going to be especially important at the university debate level because we're a university. You can use humour. It's not a problem. You can use a very personal anecdote, and that's not a problem because it's also about how well you can engage the audience. But the crucial matter is respect, and that's probably threefold. That's to the chair, and one thing that everyone could probably usefully remember is always thank the chair when you get up each time to speak. The second thing about respect is obviously has been mentioned, which is to one another, and when you're faced with an opponent who's maybe a little bit more formal than you, and possibly even a little bit more organised, then you have to show that sort of deference if you're going to very cleverly overcome the advantage of their being more organised. Okay? Then probably the last thing about respect is the fact that it's a university debate, which I've already talked about, and you're going to end up with judges like me, all these grey-haired people, who are going to look for research, no matter if it's TVET, no matter which one it is. And the research is as simple as my lovely colleague has said, is maybe having a look at the newspaper, maybe looking through even the internet for searches. Anyway, I've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it. And thank you very much for participating today. Now, the total scores from myself and my colleagues, the negative team scored a total of 192, and the affirmative team scored a total of 386. So congratulations to the affirmative team. And again, my great thanks. Thank you. Thank you indeed. There we all are. We take those three.
To today's debates. This is the second debate for today of the series of intra-faculty center and school debates for this academic year, organized and coordinated by our NUSSA executive. We thank you for, your participation, and we thank our judges for availing of their busy schedules so that they are able to judge our debates. All right, our topic for this debate is domestic violence is a result of lack of education. Domestic violence is a result of lack of education. Each of you speakers will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes, except your final speaker or your team leader, who will be allowed 5 minutes each for their respective summing up. We have our timekeeper here, Finomi Famanatu from the Faculty of Business and Entrepreneurship, who will keep time and give you a warning when you have 1 minute left for your presentation, and then the final warning or signal when it's time for you to stop. Okay? If you don't stop, you'll be penalized. Okay, we have our panel of judges here, and they have been given the marking criteria which they'll use to judge our teams. The language of the debate is English. I'm now very happy to announce our judges. In the middle, right across from me, is Tofa Avalongo Tongi Tunupopo, our chief librarian. On my left is Susunga Martin Carey. He's the director of the Governance Policy Planning Division for the National University of Samoa. And on my right is Tofa Vui Fapopole Wanai, senior lecturer with the Faculty of Education. It's now my pleasure to introduce our debating teams. On my right is the affirmative side, which is the Center for Samoan Studies. And on my left is the negative side, representing the Faculty of Science. Affirmative side, would you please introduce yourselves?
Okay. Honorable judges, Ms. Luangalau, and fellow opponents and dear spectators. I would like to say Talofa lava on behalf of the Center of Samoan Studies. My name is Tafo Amosa. I am the first speaker representing Center of Samoan Studies, Faculties.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Lurleen Pisa, and I'm here as a representative for the Center of Samoan Studies. Thank you.
Faculties.
In the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and our Savior, I would like to say Talofa lava, honorable judges, and all of us in here for this debate. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Punolfa Autauta Tausani Alao. I am the minister of the Methodist Church, but now I was before at the Faculty of Arts, but now we move at the back to support the Center of the Samoan Study. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I now turn it over to the negative side. Please introduce yourselves.
Thank you for the opportunity. Say tu fatala to Madam Chairman, timekeeper, honorable judges, our opponent from the CSS, and the beautiful audience here tonight. So I'm Yetitaya Simi. I'm representing the Faculty of Science for the debate today. And also, I'm the first speaker.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is F.A. Tamaru and I am your second speaker today.
Thank you.
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Eileen Williams and I will be your third speaker for the Faculty of Science team.
Thank you very much. I want to note that no new points or arguments will be presented during your summation. Should you do so, points may be deducted from your points or you may otherwise be penalized. Without further ado, I wish both teams good luck, and I now call on the first speaker of the affirmative side to make your presentation.
The given topic was domestic violence is a result of lack of education. Or in other words, the lack of education causes domestic violence. We, the affirmative side, have strongly agreed and support the given topic. First, defining domestic violence relating to behavior involving physical force to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something within our own community and our own society. The lack of education. We have come up with the division of being educated in so many different fields. Not only being in formal education as we are right now, but being educated to become well aware of the cultural values, the norms and beliefs, as well as spiritual. We have seen nowadays the alarmingly increase in so many cases of violence, mainly from the society of family and in some villages. And we believe, as also stated by our source of information, the Samoa Victim Support Group, they have proved that the main reasons behind most cases was due to the lack of information distributed and people who don't understand what are the consequences of their brutal actions towards one another. It all leads back to the fact that most people who are affected are those who don't understand anything about the laws, the rules and regulations, all because of the lack of education.
Thank you. May I invite the first speaker of the negative side to present your points or your team's presentation as well as your rebuttal.
Okay. Thank you for your thought on the matter. The motion put before the House states that domestic violence is a result of the lack of education. As Mandela said, education is the power to change the world. Then we ask the question, what if we lack that power? Then you'll probably assume that we'll be fallen back to the dark ages where people were illiterate. But the point here, the topic states it's exclusive, it's not inclusive. Then you're easily to judge people with lack of education if they commit a crime. Domestic violence is a crime. So persons that lack education are easily to be judged because they lack education. They can be given in court without a jury. A study from the World Health Organization studied 4,617 couples. From the results, it concluded from the World Health Organization, 82% of these couples attain a secondary education. As Samoans, we always ask, the teachers always ask us, where is your first school? Who is your first teacher? Our parents. Education has been out there for many, many years. But the thing is, and this came to my main point, my point is, before going to the rebuttal, my point is, domestic violence is not the lack of education, but rather a man's issue. This is because men have been grown up like leading the family. He is the head of the family. Tell the women, shut up. We don't need to rock the boat. Men try to maintain this system, this current system, in order for them to be in control. And that's the main advantage of this for them, to take control.
You have 1 minute.
And remember when we were boys, we grew up with toys like Superman, superheroes, and girls always have Barbie dolls, have those kind of stuff. And that impacts this surrounding. So boys grow up and try to be army, try to be a police. Girls grow up, try to be nurses, teachers. So they are the nurturing type. And that doesn't mean us men, we do not have the nurturing type as well. We do have the nurturing type. These are not, like some others say, that girls' activities. These are not girls' activities. These are life responsibilities. We men, we lead our family. And from that leadership, the man creates an illusion in the family, creates an illusion for the girl to fall in love, and then in the final stages, to just hit her and for an excuse, she's just angry. And thank you.
I I thank you for your presentation. I now call on the second speaker of the affirmative side.
Well, first of all, men are not the only abusers when it comes to domestic violence. Sometimes women are the abusers. And education is a very powerful tool in contemporary society. The amount of formal education a person receives will usually determine what type of lifestyle he or she lives. Most research concerning risk factors had indicated that the lack of education is a risk factor for domestic violence, and it clearly states that those individuals with less educations are at a higher risk of being victims of domestic violence than those who are well educated. Think about it. None of the domestic violence cases abusers or victims are CEO or high-ranking people in the government or in any society. As we talked to some of the people from the SAMO victim support, most of the cases that are being caused by the lack of education. Either the abuser has not been educated well or the victim. So it's not just a men issue, it's both women and men. It all goes back to our mentality and how well we act upon our learning experience, as I mentioned in the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you. The second speaker of the negative side, I invite you for your rebuttal and presentation.
Thank you. I would like to rebut to the second speaker from the affirmative side. You said that not only men are the abusers, but also women. That is true. But report has put it out that many of the perpetrators in our society are men, and women are mostly the victims. Coming from a country, I'm from Papua New Guinea. Coming from a country, I know that it is a Pacific Islander problem, but where I come from, there are a lot of well-educated men who are abusers to their women, to their wives. And it is not a small thing. It is a big issue back home. And it is not a lack of education. It is a lack of manners. They don't know how to treat the women rightly. Going back to the topic, to go to my main point, domestic violence is a result of lack of education. I strongly disagree. My point is cultural influence. Culture plays a big time in domestic violence. We come from a society where our culture has set a standard where men are up there, we women are down here. They have set a standard that men are in authority, men are in control. So we women become, we are to submit to them. Whatever they say, we are to obey. And that, everyday living, it becomes little things adds to a problem. Why? When women don't listen to men, it leads up to men being violent in home and leads to broken homes, could cause death. Just recently in Papua New Guinea, there was a death, a 19-year-old murdered of an abusive husband. This man comes from a well-educated family. What happens? This young girl died in the hands of this well-educated family, a child of the well-educated family. And 2 young children are left motherless. Is that still lack of education? Going back to my first speaker's point, home is our first school, where we learn our manners. Yes, no, thank you. Excuse me, ma'am. We learn those little things growing up. So I strongly believe that domestic violence is not the lack of education, because I'm pretty sure growing up, mommy and daddy teaches these little things, our manners, the real values of life. So going from my point, culture plays a big time in domestic violence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now call on the third speaker of the affirmative side for your presentation and rebuttal.
We all know the differences between or the recent cause of these issues we discussed this morning. Domestic violence is a result of lack of education, or in other words, lack of education causes domestic violence. It means never listen to the teacher, never listen to your parents, never listen to the elders, never listen what the God wants you, that it means cause the violence. But I want to bring some information from the Bible. It in lines from for this topic. Most of the violence caused by misunderstanding. Misunderstanding comes from lack of education. In my own opinion, it also, the given topic, a good example is the story for Cain and Abel. For supporting our strong agree, the domestic violence between Cain and Abel derived from the lack of education. Not only that, it based from the difference of emotions and how to feel what the God wills and what you say to you if you feel that God helps you and loves us. We believe and faith that the Bible says, it means the well educated. If you well educate, it means stop the violence and or other things like that. And another version from the Bible, that it means if you well educate, if someone angry with you, then you use the word love. It means that is the way to counter and support domestic violence is a result of lack of education. In the name of Jesus, Amen.
Thank you very much. I now call on the team leader of the affirmative side for your, the third speaker of the negative side. Excuse me.
Thank you.
Your rebuttal and presentation of points.
Before I proceed with my point, I would like to rebut to the third speaker. You say that education starts from home, but what if that education is, instead of education, it is the practicing of domestic violence? What if your parents are practicing domestic violence and you learn from it? This is another side of that education. This is not a good education, but education as in you are learning. And I would also like to rebut to the second speaker. You said that education and no CEO or a CEO has committed crime, but we all know, I would not mention the name, but we all know a recent case which led to domestic violence. And you know, this is a problem that we need to address. That domestic violence is not a result of lack of education. And lastly, our point is, I fully disagree on the given topic. Why? Because I believe that the environment and the upbringing of a person leads to domestic violence, not the lack of education. In other words, so you mean lack of education, in order to not commit violence, we have to have a degree or a master's or a certificate? Is that what you mean? Do you agree? I don't think so. I fully disagree on the given topic because I believe that domestic violence is caused mainly by the upbringing and the environment at home. According to Arizona Coalition to End Sexual and Domestic Violence, abuse is a learned behavior. So it is learned at home, not necessarily at school or education. Therefore, when a child is being brought up in an abusive home, abusive household, this child is more susceptible to being violated and influenced by the violent, abusive actions of the parents or any intimate relationship, or brother or sister or father. Therefore, this child develops a habit. He thinks that beating up a sister or mother or create creating domestic violence is normal. This is why, and according to hence 90% of intimate partner violence relationships in Samoa goes unreported. Why? Because according to the National Inquiry into Family article published on 14th of September 2018. Also, my other point is World Health Organization states that alcohol is also the increased occurrence of domestic violence. Again, children who witness violence and alcohol in abusive families will more likely to display harmful drinking patterns later in their livelihoods. Thank you.
Thank you. I now invite the team leader of the affirmative side for its summation of its main points.
So before we go on to sum up our points, I would like to rebuttal on what the negative side has said about the topic. First, the first speaker said that men should rule the family. As we all know, the man's power is vested down to the family and is exercised. So being educated, as you all know, we have human rights. So you have to fight back for your human right. If you are being well educated, then you have to know what to do. And then second, to the culture, that they said culture is one of the main reasons towards domestic violence. But to us, our culture is not playing as, but to my own opinion and our team, culture does not say you have to commit domestic violence. You have human rights as well. And coming to the point where the third speaker said about alcohol, as we get from our source of information, there's a constitutional law that says you only have to consume 2% of alcohol. But nowadays, as we all know, taula, sili, bailima, it contains more than 2% of alcohol. So if you are smart enough, then you know what to do. And to sum up our points, in the Samoan context, as we all know nowadays, the only time where people came to have knowledge about the laws and the rules, it is when they have brought up the issue to the court or to the police. But they have been secretly keep being heard rather than speaking up for themselves. Not knowing the law towards being abused and being affected with domestic violence have 4 areas: physical abuse, emotional abuse, being neglected, and sexual abuse. Not only that, but the institution of family, there are no more living embers. As we all know, the Samoa, such as parents disciplining their children in the right path. In the past 50 to 60 years, there was no formal education. But as we mentioned before, there are various ways of being educated, culturally, spiritually, and as well as formal education as we are right now. So from that point to the institution of family, there we'll come to growing up, being educated with the common laws known as basic knowledge laws, and the cultural values as well. And then our source of information such as the Samoa Police and the victim support group, they have said that the government should take initiative in trying to have village and district talks or seminar in order to give information as part of educating people so that they will understand about the laws, the rules and regulations. As we all know nowadays, not only that, but being educated with behavior has to be the responsibility of the parents. As we all know nowadays, this has also added to the task of our teachers. But right now, also from our research, state that only a few percentage of our people have understand these laws. and it is believed to be the people who are being well educated. In addition, from February 2020 until now, the Samoa Victim Support Group still facing the rapid increase of STD, the sexual transmitted disease, which mainly the victims are the young ladies roaming around town and not staying at home with their families. So to conclude, we have believed that domestic violence is caused by the lack of education, and the Samoan government and we the Samoans, founded on God, should take initiative in order to minimize the issue as we are talking about. Thank you.
I thank you very much. I now call on our final speaker, who is the team leader of the negative side, for your rebuttal and summing up.
Just catch on the last phrase you just mentioned. God, Samoa is founded on God. That's nice. A report from the Samoa Police Office states that 6,000 criminals are now in the Malala prison. Can you explain that? You mentioned don't listen to the teacher, don't listen to the, no respects minister, don't listen to the teacher, don't listen to the parent. As our culture, corporal punishment has been the solution to teach our kids a lesson. And what's the definition of domestic violence? Abusing kids, sexual harassment, abusing your wife, your girlfriend. You also mentioned there's no CEO, high government official on the list of domestic violence. On 28th of August 2020, a lawyer was submitted in court of doing a domestic violence against his wife. That's a high-ranking official. And also, you mentioned alcohol. Well, every country in the world has its own alcohol, even as Samoa. Our cultural alcohol is kava. Now, what they are doing to kava? They're making it expensive. Kava has been the drink of Samoa from generation to generation. It has been embedded in our cultural society. And what's cheaper now, replacing that culture? Beer, taula, bailima, oli, you name it. And also, in the National Health Services in the Matoatua Hospital, in a survey done in 2018, stated that over 3,000 children were admitted to the hospital suffering from bruises and other injuries from corporal punishment inside the family. Other than that, a teacher was charged with beating up a student for making posts on Facebook. And I want to tell a thing, a parable from the Bible. The Good Samaritan Bible. There were 4 people coming. Now, the first man was a Pharisee, the one was a tax collector, and the other one was a preacher. Now, from those 3 persons, they didn't lack the education. But what did they lack? They lacked love. They didn't pick up this person, get it to the doctor, admitted him. But a man, just a simple merchant with lack of education, pick up the man, pay the doctor, and he recovered. Discipline in the family. Our old tamba, sasa old tamba. Our ngalitai tu alvalo, levale. Really, is that the solution? As I mentioned earlier, as the second speaker said, social culture. What makes you do the wrong choices? What makes you to become an abusive? Well, I want to tell you a short answer. What surrounds you, what influences you, make you do their choices? From a study in the National Institute of Health in America states that persons who have been witnesses of domestic violence either become the victim or the abuser. Now, all these factors are not the lack of education. Education has been out there. But these factors we need to change in order for our society to thrive. Culture, what is the government doing now? Reshape the culture. As Matthew say, well, it doesn't mean we will lose our culture. It's just making it more suitable to this current situation. Children being beaten up in homes. Well, we all consider homes as a safe haven. That is the last place we will consider as a place where violence is being committed. But what's happening now? Man creates an illusion, as I said earlier.
You have a minute.
They try to put girls. Well, okay, I accept the fact that the second speaker said men are also victims. But the most perpetrators here are men. We are men. What creates us? Okay, someone says that we are the drafts of God's creation. The final copy was the woman. But we in a society, everyone look up to us. Now, thanks to women and the Fa'afafine community, they have been standing up, voice been heard in communities for their rights. Thank you for mentioning the rights. Well, the rights hasn't been here until 1962 when we became independent. But we didn't know rights. We didn't know anything about rights. But we as Samoans, we don't want us to tell us what to do. We just want our opinion. We need to change that. So, thank you.
I thank you very much. I thank members of each of the teams for your views and your arguments presented during this debate. Now we'll let the judges do their tallying up. In the meantime, it's quite hard, to argue on topics such as this, on points that you might not necessarily agree with, but you go to support the side that you're on. Now, what I want to note is I thank each of your teams for doing your research and arguing as best as you can from the side that you're representing on the debate. But please note that this is a most important topic, very relevant to today and very relevant to you guys, you young people's lives. Let me tell you, the government over the last 30 years have been doing and taking out to the community all kinds of awareness campaigns, promotion campaigns against domestic violence, to increase the awareness and to provide the information so that they understand the impact of this issue. So what I'm saying is, it's a very complex issue. The lack of education is one of. It's one of the causes. The cultural elements is one other cause. It's not the only cause because it's very complicated. The rights thing, the human rights thing is another related cause. Vatulo human rights, ilo to'orua, ia whaasanga mai to'orua marea. Ia mawalo leo matau liuri. At the same time, Olawa Yele policy, no drug policy. So your wife has the right to come and momoli oe to the leo and fa'aole a oe e luto rua e to maria a ela tu wale mafainto e mai tuara utan. So those are some of the things that are happening now. What I want to stress is there have been years and years of activities that have been taken out to our community, to our population, all sectors of our population. But let me say one thing. Domestic violence has many forms, not only loa uma, or a physical abuse, or a verbal abuse, or a sexual abuse. Right now, you know. I'm just discussing how serious this subject is. The highest, all these years of programs, educational programs, training, awareness programs on this subject. Over the last 30 years, what has been the outcome? Very unsatisfactory. The incidence of domestic violence keeps on going up. So you ask the question, why? Why does it keep on going up? And especially sexual abuse on our young girls. My answer is the physical and all of those different kinds of abuses are symptoms. They are symptoms of a much serious problem. Perhaps when it's within the family, within yourself. But there's a much deeper problem, and I would like to point out one of them. Maybe the status of the economic status of the family. No money, you know, and that creates the anger, which is a psychological, physical thing, and results in the beating, the verbal and the physical. So what I'm saying as chairperson, as your counselor, one of your counselors, is this is very important and very relevant to you young people. Not only to understand all its different aspects and elements and impacts for your own protection and that, but also to be able to help others so that we can all contribute to eliminating, to eradicating this ever-increasing issue, despite the efforts that have been going into it to try and reduce the incidents over the last 30 or so years. Anyway, that's my piece for today on this subject. I hope you take it seriously and, you know, think about it more. Think about it. But I now hand it over to the judges on the judgment of this debate.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Before I read out the results, I just want to comment, and hopefully the NUSSA organizers would listen. I think the NUSSA reps need a bit of a little seminar or workshop on the protocols of formal debates so that they in turn can inform their own debate teams. Because of both sessions we've had just now, there seems to be a lack of understanding of debate protocols, which is sad because some of the people I'm seeing today were in the debates last year. Now, one of those things that you need to do when you are sitting there as part of a debate team, you need to acknowledge the chair. Every time you stand up, you acknowledge the chair, acknowledge the judges, and acknowledge the opponents. All right, so this is just one of those little things that you have to do. But for your information, in case you don't know, as an individual speaker, when you do that, you earn 6 points for your team. So when you multiply that by 4, that's 24 points already for your team. So when you don't do that, you lose a lot of points. All right? And then there's your attire. T-shirts, I know that's a NUSSA T-shirt, but this is a formal session. And as we've just been informed, it's live. So you really do need to look your best when you come to represent your faculty or your section or your school to these formal things. And also, I just want to comment on how you do your rebuttals. For your information, you individually earn 12 points for a very good rebuttal. Multiply that by your team, that's a lot of points. Okay, so when you do not prepare a good rebuttal, you lose points. And a good rebuttal comes from listening while the other person is speaking, and then you try to find maybe wrong information that they are giving, and also other holes in their argument. And I think your team did a very good job of doing that. And one more point. Some of you had very good points, and you also brought up some very good examples. The problem was you could not tie them all together. There's no cohesion in what you were saying. So just a reminder, you need, at the end of your speech, you need to reiterate your own point. All right? Don't end your time with your rebuttal. Okay? You need to reiterate your own point. And also, I think all three of us have agreed that there was just a lot of new points introduced by the leader of the affirmative side. You know, you had some very good points when you were doing your summing up. Unfortunately, the three of you were not able to expand on those points, so they could not count. All right, and then we come to the addition of our points. For the affirmative side, you got 375 points. All right, for the negative side, you got 469 points. So thank you very much to both teams.
I thank you very much, Fatali. I thank you very much, judges. The comments are deeply appreciated. I trust that our teams and all those who will be participating, continue to participate in our debates, take these comments on board. It's very important to know the debate protocol, and I offer to provide debating protocol workshops. If NUSSA would like for me to organize those, yeah, please let me know. But thank you very much for all of those comments you've made. Thank you very much for the views that you have presented. And I know that you work very hard on getting your information. And we appreciate that and congratulate you. However, as someone said, so what about our more? The vote that came first is the Faculty of Science with 469 points. Yeah, the Center for Samoan Studies with 375 points. Congratulations to both teams. Thank you very much, judges. We'll see you on Thursday. Well, my session on the debate.